Hi, and welcome back to Shop's Garage. And we're chatting about a subject which always gets a load of comments: electric cars. For those who watch the channel regularly will know I've got no particular problem with electric cars. As a car dealer, I've started trading a few here and there, not many because I tend to be doing cars under 10 grand. But most recently on the channel, we had a really nice example of a Skoda Enyaq. It was only, I think it was just 3 years old with 13,000 miles on it, and I ended up trading that car out. And it was interesting. The process of trading the car out taught me a lot more about electric cars and electric car sales at the moment. And then I stumbled across a news article which backed exactly what my experience was. So when I put the video out on the Enyaq, a lot of people said, I think the retail value, I've checked it out, the retail value of that car was about 51 grand, maybe 52 with some extras on it. And the retail value for it, when I showed it, like I say, a few years old with 13,000 miles on it, was £28,000. So big depreciation, big depreciation. A lot of people commented that on the video. Now, I didn't want to retail it myself because I don't tend to do cars that expensive. So I looked to trade the car out, meaning sell it to another dealer. And what I found was didn't really have any take up. I got offered it left, right, and centre. Now, normally when I offer a car out, I leave decent margin in it. On that car, I was leaving about, I think about 4k across the car for the dealer. It was an immaculate example. Didn't need MOT, didn't need a service, didn't need any paint. The alloys were mint, had brand new tyres all round, full service history. It was as retail ready as a car ever is. It just needed a light valet and you'd go straight on the forecourt. I thought no brainer, but I got no takes at all really on it. Eventually, when I did get a take on it, it was a dealer that had someone looking for a car like that, and they were going to get it on finance. But he said, my problem is, he said, is the residual value of the car. I said, what do you mean by that? He said, well, what the finance company is looking at doing is after 3 years have passed on the finance deal, what do they think the car is going to be worth? And he said, what do you think they valued the car out after three more years on finance? And I said, well, I don't know, maybe 14k, something like that. I thought I was being a little bit tough, saying it was been about half the value. He said, nope, lower than that. I said, 10k? Nope, lower than that. 8,000. The finance company was working out that the car was only worth 8,000 in another 3 years' time. I think it was another 3 years' time. And because of that, the payments were too large, so he had to be able to get the car cheap enough. He said to me basically, it wasn't about the margin in the car. He was going to make his margin off the finance because he had to sell the car below book in order for the finance to work out for the lady, which is a big problem, isn't it? It's a big problem if the finance companies are going to, look at the car and say it's going to have really bad depreciation. The monthly payments on these EVs is going to be way higher than if you went for an electric or a petrol car. Went for a diesel or a petrol car. And that means the demand is going to be really low. I mean, obviously, there's a group of people that don't want EVs just because they're anti EV for whatever reason. There's a group of people that EV might suit them quite well. Perhaps they don't do a lot of miles, they've got a driveway, they can put a charger on it, that kind of thing. But if they're going to be getting nearly new and looking at the finance, they're not going to go for it purely on the numbers. So if the demand isn't there, as we were discussing in an earlier video, we know that about 31% of cars are now on mobility schemes, and I think it was like 60% are on company leases. Well, as those cars naturally come to the end of their leases, because the mobility cars are leases as well, as they come to the end, the market's going to be flooded with EVs, because I know a lot of the mobility people are pushed towards EV, as we saw in the comments, and a lot of company cars now they're going for EV as well. As the market is flooded with these cars coming off the end leases, there won't be a market there to buy the cars because the finance is too high, or if the market is there, it's only going to be with the cars at bargain basement prices. Don't take my word for this. I happened to go on to my computer and it popped up with an article about leasing companies and EVs. Now, what it said is that earlier this month, I'll read it so I've got it accurate. Earlier this month, the British Vehicle Renting and Leasing Association, the BVRLA, sent a letter to government stating that the demand for used EVs is struggling to keep up pace with the supply. The letter stated that the imbalance has meant that EV residual values have dropped by 50% in the last 2 years, with an expected decline of a further 28% by 2030. The BVRLA warned that weak residuals in the used car electric market have created financial pressure on the car finance firms, which base their pricing models on optimistic residual value forecasts. Now, what this means is when you lease a car, when you go to the leasing company, they lease the car on a base to you on a 3-year lease, 2-year lease, whatever it might be. And they base their business model on taking payments from you, and at the end of that, then putting that car into auction and getting a certain amount of money back for it. Now, what it's saying is that they assumed that EV residual values would be higher than they are. Now it turns out they're a lot lower than they are. There's a shortfall, and that could put a lot of these leasing companies in a lot of financial trouble. The letter said that this depreciation is costing fleets hundreds of millions, and this is being passed on to new buyers in the form of higher motoring finance costs. So what they're saying is the only way that these guys can recoup these costs is to actually pass it on to the people, the new people that are buying an EV. The price of the lease on an EV for somebody else coming into the market is going to be that much proportionally higher because they now know what the residual values are, and they're also trying to recoup their losses from before. What they were actually asking the government to do was to provide residual value support across the automotive value chain. Now, I'm not sure exactly what that looks like. Are they saying the government should help support the residual values of the vehicle? I'm not sure how that would even look. It went on to warn that basically the whole transition that the government wants over to electric cars is at risk because of these residual values. Now, as the public see these lease deals go up in price greatly, that's going to see more of them choosing to go diesel or petrol again. And in the used market, people are also looking at their residual value of their car. If they're hearing that basically electric cars are worthless after you've had them for a while, they're going to be looking at, well, what's my car going to be worth when I look to sell it on in 5 years or so? That means they're likely to hold off doing anything if there isn't the selection of petrol and diesel cars out there for them nearly new. They're going to hang on to their car, and it's only going to get even worse, isn't it, when we get to 2030 and the production is supposed to stop completely of diesel and petrol cars. Those new car buyers that maybe would normally lease something or buy new, they're going to be looking at the car. They've got to go, can I squeeze a few more years out of this petrol or this diesel car? Can I squeeze a few more years out of it rather than going and getting brand new like I normally do? Can I just hang fire with the car I've got at the moment? But for leasing companies, I don't see there's any real way out. They gambled on electric cars being worth more than they were going to be. They gave very attractive lease deals. I mean, I remember looking myself, £70,000 Polestar. It was really nice looking. I think it was a Polestar 3. About £70,000 list price, might even be more than £70,000. The lease deal on it was something like £4,000 down and £500 a month over 3 years, something like that. Now, obviously on a deal like that, if that car is going to be worth less than 50% of its value in 3 years' time, there's no money being made out of that, is there? In fact, there's going to be a massive loss. That's what the leasing companies are doing. They were gambling, like I say, on the residual values being higher, trying to encourage people to get into electric cars with these offers. But it looks like now a lot of them can end up in a real financial mess. Have I taken away from it? Well, what I've taken away from it is if I'm offered electric cars, it doesn't really matter what the book says. I need to be really aggressive on buying them in. I think for me, on the cheaper end, it's a little bit of a safer bet. If I can get electric cars in and they're going to be under 10 grand, I think I should be a lot safer than buying stuff like I did with that Enyaq that was only a few years old. I think less of an issue then. But no, if I'm definitely offered, if I'm offered stuff going forward once, I'm going to be very aggressive with my pricing, even on sub 10k stuff. But if it's the nearly new stuff, I'm going to be very aggressive on my offers to make sure that I've given loads of margin, especially if I plan on trading it out, to allow someone to put together the kind of finance deals my friend had to the other day. Interesting though, isn't it? What do we think the government will do, if anything? Will they jump in and help the BVRLA in this situation and lease companies? Are they going to help subsidise the residual values of electric cars? Because they're going to have to, if they really want this mass movement to it, they're going to have to do something to help out there, aren't they? Otherwise, any momentum they've got, which has slowed a lot recently anyway, is going to be gone. Comment down below, what kind of things do you think? I don't think we've ever seen something in the past where the government's helped with residual values on vehicles. I know we had things like the scrappage scheme and stuff like that to push people into new cars, but I don't even know how they go about helping with the residual values. Have you leased a car? Did you get a deal which you think it doesn't add up? There's no way that this is adding up based on residual values of the car, I can see. Or did you buy a new car and a new electric car and then come to sell it and had a bit of a shock. I'd be interested in your stories down below. As always, thanks for watching the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget, you can still win this 2015 Ford Fiesta ST for just £1 in our latest raffle. And when you enter, you'll be helping support our charity, which is Ability FC, a local football club for children and adults with learning disabilities. I'll put a link in the video description down below, or just search Chops Garage Raffle.